Okay, folks, touching base from another Costa Rica report. Anyways, cover what we've been up to for the last 2 weeks here, other than fighting with bridges and sunbathing on the beaches. But anyways, up here, well, we finally got the bases in to go with your railing. So here now I've just got to get some expensive mortar because we left that hole out. So we that for the bottom of the base, and this one we made a hole in the floor, which we fully well. Not a surprise, we just need expansive mortar to cement those bases in, and then this goes into that. Exactly. Um, Anyways, so we're almost finished all the interior rafters. Well, we would be finished if we had the material, but waiting for the mill had a breakdown, so which got fixed yesterday. So the last few rafters are coming in, and the electrician has been here um, pulling lots of wire. Now there you can see, okay, we've done the infill between the rafters, so now that's has the corners all put in and the mesh there, so that's waiting for a finished coat now. Anyways, moving onwards and upwards. Well, here today we're just working on, because they've been working on our big honking beams and posts. Now these posts have to be teak because we're using solid wood here. No, this is old teak, so don't worry about it being white spots in it. So it will come out very similar color. But the problem with glue lam is down where the sun and the rain get on it. That has a potential. Well, not a potential. It does destroy the laminations. So therefore, Jose did not want to do it, nor neither did I. I mean, we purposely built these pedestals so that they're not down in the super wet zone, but just the same here. That's potential. Well, it's not an if. It's just when is it a problem. So therefore, all the posts are going to be teak 4x8s. So that's cut out of old log. Well, and to get that size, it has to be old log. It's not this teenage stuff that does that. But anyway, so we're just calculating these out, and so most of this is going to be cut at the mill because they've got the equipment to cut big stuff like that. We really don't and have any need for that. So anyways, Jeffrey and I have just been calculating all of our measurements. Same thing applies to the 4 posts in the carport. And well, brought this metal in the other day. Now, this is for all of the fascias. Like we've got, roughly 330 feet of fascia here. So that we're starting to build those, because remember I talked to you about a long time. Same thing there. Wood finish of any kind up on a fascia is just looking for, a maintenance nightmare. And considering that, that one over there, you're talking a height of, that's 5.2 meters. So we're well over 16 feet off the ground. Anyways, so stepping back in, so much of the wall wire has been pulled, not all of it, but much. So there we're just putting the top coat on here now that we've got plug-ins in place. I've been avoiding that because specifically so that, because you can see, you know, yeah, these boxes, the ears come out. So I've been purposely avoiding putting finishing coats in areas where there's a lot of electrical, preferably any electrical, so we don't have add that to it. Had a bit of a surprise in the electrical boxes. I've never used this brand. It was what Home Depot had available, and these ones nicely have metal inserts in. I mean, the fingers that hold these in place, it's what they call an old work box. I mean, this obviously is not old work, but the point is they have a finger in behind, so it makes a sandwich. So when you tighten the screw, the finger comes up and grabs behind the sheet. So it works perfectly with SIP panels. But anyways, the other ones had a plastic finger. These have a metal finger and a metal insert in here so that they, you know, the problem with plastic, of course, is with threads, is that they strip out quite easily. Anyway, so while we're adding, they didn't have, we're adding another plug-in. We hadn't got to that. We just discussed it yesterday. We're going to put the plug-in on this sidewall, not back here, because of course somebody's sitting in a wheelchair. If you put it back there, as is often the case, it's a lot harder to reach. So there'll just be one plug sitting at the same level here, there. So if somebody's got a hair dryer, razor, whatever, so we'll set it halfway to the back. Anyways, oh, and there's your double plug, one for the table lamp and the other one up above for toys. Oh, this is where we've set, this is all of the tablilla. Get used to it. Instead of tongue and group, here it's called tablilla. So we're unbundling this and then selecting grades of it and colors, so as to get it, shall we call it, harmonious. We've got, well, not all wood, as, shall we call it, God doesn't make it equal. So, like for example, in the main areas, we don't want to take and put that piece beside that piece particularly. These will be separated out, and those that are a lighter tone because of, well, the way that the tree grew it, we separate those areas out, and those will go in, because we still, in all of this, we have a lot. If you're talking about the eaves, closets, whatnot, you have a fair bit that you need to use up that can be, shall we call it, less than ideal. So so there is introduction to your first piece of roof. There, concentrating getting this one done so we can, because you know, we put the R-foil above there and that becomes a watershed, because of course we haven't been able, our tarp's a little bit shorter than the house, so we get regular water coming in here. So that will end toot sweet here, as we'll be able to shed that water while we're continuing to build the roof. Now, oh, okay, so see, they're not, the shooting into the light isn't the best. It throws the camera off. But anyways, you can see the infill is being completed up there. And of course, you know, we have to do that. We have to get that done nicely before we start putting tablilla above it, or it creates a, shall we call it, a bit of a challenge. So, in keeping all of your, so there's your, yes, you can see it. A rather elegant roof for a storage closet, but you know, kind of tough to change it in the midst of stream. So see, here we get leaking coming in, and that's what I'm trying to, well, we'll put an end to that right now. At any rate, with getting that tablia up there, well, we'll get the, well, basically with the airfoil in there. I mean, you know, it is meant to be, it is the reflector, but it's also waterproof, so it ends that problem of getting waterproof here as we move along. Now, okay, well, this is all cables for the ceiling lights and whatnot that are going on. So, trying not to skip through stuff too fast here. Took the opportunity while the guys were taking their coffee to do this in relative silence. Anyways, well, there's a good shot of your tablet in full light. I mean, you know, having some color variation back on that subject, that's nothing wrong with. I mean, that's what makes wood wood. But as I said, you just don't want the lightest right against the darkest. I mean, it's not hard to do when we're at this stage. So just lecturing guys today, no, I think that gives you hopefully a better shot from out here. And then and you can see that, you know, getting an idea what it will look like through the windows. I mean, it certainly doesn't, you know, you can see that it's very much a wood roof, because people use this PVC plastic shit for roofs. I mean, well, it's cheap, but no fool will ever look at it and says, well, that's wood. That is completely impossible. We've also been working in between things. Can I do this? No, I can't. Well, rather than turn this off and make a section, I gotta go get a light to go into the bat cave. So we have to, the cave under the concrete terrace we've got to put a plastic screen on that door to stop the bats from going in there, because of course it makes for a perfect place for a bat to hang out. You know, call it the Bat Hilton, I guess. But anyway, just needed my light. So come back up and we'll have a look at more so at the front of the house once we're done. So what we've been doing is hooking up all of the jet lines here too, because as soon as we leave, the only thing they have for jets is PVC connections. So what we have to do is adapt that over with a female, and then put a male end to go in there, and then we tie all that together. So we still have the bottom there to do, but it gets to be quite a wad of. Looks like they've kind of figured there's just too much company down here right now as we do the electrical connection and all of our lights and whatnot, but it turns into a pretty good wad of hose heading across here that we're not quite finished at, but anyways, it's well on its way. And when I was trying to make the decision what to do with this, because the problem is if we didn't put a structural floor in there, then anything goes wrong in the water system of the pool, you have a trip from absolute hell. So any problems under here now with that, technically nobody bloody knows it. Nobody will ever know it other than basically you guys and us. But because our electrical feed to all the pool equipment crosses through there to run everything down. Well, and of course these jets go right into the machine room, but all of these, was there 17 of them? All have to feed across and come into the machine room to be. I did tell you I've never done it that way before, and you may have I'm pretty suspicious you have the only pool in Costa Rica that is plumbed with PEX. But the other reasons for that, of course, is that PVC does not respond well to earthquakes. So by putting the PEX underneath the floor, you eliminate any chances of PVC breaking. I mean, it's not an infrequent occurrence. Plus also with all those lines, I'm building a big mothering manifold, like it's going to be 2 or 2.5 inch pipe where that distributes all out to get as even, the idea is to get as even water pressure everywhere as possible. Because in typical system when they run PVC, by the time you get to the end, it's the old story about pigs, you're sucking the hind tit, there's not much getting to the other end. Whereas with the manifold distributing, that's why all that's there, to try to get all those jets at basically the same feed pressure. Anyways, so there is the look. Oh, now the compressor is going to compete with me. So we got 3 more rafters to build here because, we just finishing, we had to make, and it's the same in the front. When the roof takes a step up, we need to put in a little leg to lift to pass from the beam up to the level where the rafter is, and there's 17 of these in total, because the same thing happens up front where we do the transition in the roof height. So obviously the beam has to spread right across at the lower height, and then when the wall, you see the wall stepping up, the roof is stepping up. So here we need a little L-shaped post that holds that rafter up. See there, we took a chunk. Well, we had to take a chunk right out of the panel in the wall, because of course with the beam going between 2 fixed ends, how do you run? We're running ready rod through there, and then putting a nut on the end of it to suck all that together, so it definitely isn't going anywhere. Fortunately in the front we have the same thing in let's get out of the compressor zone here. So when we're going to be doing this one up here, we have the same thing. We've got, this big honking beam, which is 18 inches high, by the way. That's going to be recessing into the wall just, well, a foot below that rafter. So right there where my finger is pointing, it's going to be entering right there. But because we're open straight through, we will just take that beam and push it in, and then we'll bolt it in place because we were thinking of that. So we've got a double post here going all the way to the roof. So that will go in, and we'll still have to make a hole to get at our nuts and to torque it all up there. Anyways, so this is going to be, well, we've never done a beam this size, but we've also never had a situation where we need to run it, well, 11 meters, so that's 35 feet is the stretch heading across there. So, I mean, well, and obviously this one has to be 18 inches, so we need to, well, without it looking completely retarded, that means that beam down there needs to be 18, and this beam down here does, because I had a nasty rumor that the owner here likes things in symmetry. So can you imagine if you'd put, this one needs to be an 18. This one here I could have done with a 10 inch, 8 to 10 inch. But would that look a little asymmetrical? Yeah, I would think that's a pretty safe bet. Anyways, so yeah, there's more while we're doing lots of it. I mean, it is a little tedious, but I mean, obviously it has to be done. That infill, because as you can see now, when we create that sandwich around in between the rafters, I mean, it ties everything together there. So because there is this pine, don't know that I've got any that's open right now, but there's all this pine that we cut down to make the same thickness as the panel. So there's basically a piece going across the bottom and the top and up each side, so that creates a whole block that goes in and is glued and screwed to the rafters on each side. So what it basically does is it creates a full unified unit. Then everything is together. I mean, needless to say, you wouldn't be cutting that into a panel. I mean, it would be ugly and miserable to do that way anyways, but whatever. So it's just something that, part of the process. So I think that nothing else has been done off the top of my head. I think that pretty much covers the last 2 weeks of process. Well, these are all, these are not all cuttings. These are the rafters cut. Those 3 rafters that have to go up there, we're waiting. I mean, our little legs are up at the other bodega getting the finish put on them, because we had to machine them all up to make them pretty. So they are, to say the least, very visible. So anyways, with that, I will sign off with, as we say, saludos from Costa Rica. And well, this is kind of a typical October afternoon. We've had little sprinkles after, well, even this morning we had some sprinkles, and just now we had some more, but nothing particular. It actually hasn't been raining all that much. We had more rain in bloody August than we've had in October, actually. So just the old variability of the seasons. But anyways, I'll quit yammering and move on. Till later.